Going with the flow.
Go with the flow. Always go with the flow, because if you don't go with the flow, you'll have to end up hacking business technology. So welcome to episode 54, To Be Determined. We've got Mr. Matt Hooper and special guest Simone Jo Moore. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Simone.
Bonjour, mes amis. Ça va?
So Simone, actually, you moved to France 2 years ago or a year ago?
It's about 18 months now.
Okay, year and a half. I was right. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. Used to live in Australia, but you're still in the ITSM industry. So talk about that. What does that actually mean? What is ITSM in Australia versus in Europe?
That was actually a bit freaky. I thought it'd be easier than it was. I really did. Besides the language issues, it's just, it was knowing I was going to make the move. I made sure that I did all the right things, connected with the right people, and I planned this 5-6 years before I actually arrived. And I thought, yep, cool. And I'd met some of the internationals already from Europe and stuff in Oz, at the conferences, and I thought, this is great. After 18 months, though, I just realized how tiny the world can be when you don't physically meet some people.
Yeah.
I really noticed that. But at the same time, how incredible the world was. I mean, meeting you for the first time in London in June at SITS. I mean, we've been online for how many years?
Ever.
Yeah, just exactly. And so, the very first time you walk into the hotel, we're all sitting around waiting to walk off to go and have our networking hello drinks for the first night. And you walk in, you're chatting around everybody, and I'm just standing there really quietly going, yeah.
I didn't recognize you.
and you turn around, and then you've just gone, oh my God! And that's what it's been like.
Yeah.
It's been freaky from that perspective. But it's fulfilling a lot of personal stuff too. But I tell you what, my ITSM world has just opened up so much wider. Disappointed in the French side because there's not a lot of it here.
Oh, yeah.
Really not. I went onto ITSMF France and everything like that. I mean, obviously the recent international stuff they're doing, they're trying to,
yeah,
re-energize it and that kind of thing. I'm hoping that really comes about. So I still have to kind of go outside of France.
Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think that's, we're not seeing the traction with an ITSMF? I mean, I'm seeing ITSM hot right now. People are wanting it. People are wanting guidance. I see professional services are off the chart. Products are off the chart. I mean, we had a killer quarter ourselves here at Landesk. I mean, it's hot right now. But the organizations.
It's so cool because I mean, one of the reasons I'm kind of got on this thing with you guys is that Matt, you're with Landesk now, right? So seeing you at SITS and everything was great. And then 2 weeks after I come back, I receive a Landesk email. All in French. The whole thing had been Frenchified. And I just went, as I'm starting to read ITSM in French, and I'm thinking, you know what, it actually sounds better in French.
Everything sounds better in French.
So the reason why ITSM is failing is because it was written in English and not in French.
Not in French. It's just something, it's like, if you've ever watched Monty Python's Holy Grail, which I've done so many times, and my husband knows that script off by heart, there's the bit with the French knight on top of the castle, and, King Arthur comes up with his coconuts with his horse thing. He goes, "We already have one. Go away, you English kniggets." And I'm like, I used to laugh at that all the time, but after living in France for 18 months, it's funnier now.
Because of the culture.
It's cultural.
Yeah.
It is so cultural. Just the thinking patterns, just the way they look at stuff. And, that it's little nuances, like just changing the language of the words, like even the technical words. I'm really happy. One of my other mates in ITSM, he's actually sent me the ITIL Foundations in French. And I'm starting to work my way through it. And I thought, okay, I'm not there yet, but just trying to explain the nuances, it's just not the same. And I think there is a real art to translating, into that stuff, whether you're training or consulting or speaking at other international conferences where English is not the first language.
Right. Yeah.
These nuances are so potent.
Oh, they really are. You know, so I'm learning more about multilingual because now that I'm on the product side. And, it really comes down to a huge difference. Like, it wasn't so much about the labels on the form. What really is transitioned is like when they look at the workflow process, and that's in their mother tongue. Because you're trying to make a decision, you're trying to think logistics, like how do I figure this out? And when you don't understand the word notify, it's like, well, like all of a sudden, because I don't speak any other languages. I mean, Nihongo, Skoshi wakarimasu, and maybe a little bit of un poquito español, but nothing I can have a conversation with. Forget logistically trying to think through a challenge.
Yeah. It's like trying to do animal speak in a way. You know how people say they talk to bears or talk to squirrels, and it's just a completely different thinking pattern. And it's exciting as well. And the other thing that I found, Baron, to sort of answer your other question about the differences, is that it really has helped me look at ITSM in different ways. And I think that that's actually a luxury that not all of us get to do.
Do you have an example of that, Simone?
I see. Just the way they present with customers, just the way in which they greet, have the conversations, whether some of them come straight to the point. The Dutch are very good at that, coming straight to the point. And a lot of people go, oh, that's a bit harsh or a bit rough or a bit, up front. But they don't mean it that way. It's just, here are the facts, boom, 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 boom. And the Finns do that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's wild because I've been accepted to ITSMF Finland as a keynote. And
that's great.
That's just crazy. And I'm teaching them a section on communications. And I'm going, I asked Paula Matan from ITSMF Finland, and I said, so should I try and learn at least a little bit of Finnish? And she said, you got no hope. Don't even try.
Not even the greeting. No greetings, no salutations.
She said you'll just screw the wires in your brain and your tongue and the rest of your mouth just won't know what it's doing. So
now, did you pick up on this? And so we were both there in London around SITS, and one of the things that I noticed is in that kind of subculture of ITSM alone, there's even then another secondary subculture. Like the Stuart Rance and the Stephen Mann, the James Finister and the Barclay Ray, and that kind of that posse there of folks. They seem to
the usual suspects.
Yeah, the usual suspects. When they're getting together and they're talking to each other, I see them start to use the same expressions on certain things that I don't really hear inside of ITSM. Outside of that group. And I don't even hear it so much in their general tone or online. It was interesting. Yeah. One of the things that comes to mind was we talk about business outcomes all the time. Mm-hmm. But they consistently started talking about outcome in such a way like, it was much more strategic. It was much more mission critical. It was much more, it wasn't like producing a project or something like that. I wish I could remember the story exactly, but so do you see that in France versus Australia, which Australia's got a great ITSM community. It's really flourished, and it's also, I think, a little bit more diverse. But do you see like there was that same kind of like subculture grouping, like the way that they viewed analytics or the way that they viewed process maturity or the way that they view training and enablement differently across these subcultures?
Well, let me give you a really personal example, like just trying to process my residency visa and even my driver's license here in France. And you think it's like really simple, like in the States or in Australia, it's like you take your old license, it's nearly expired, you just swap it over for the next one and, done. Like, it's really easy. The same person can handle everything, and It's one piece of paper. Most of the stuff you can do online. You face up to get the photograph. Not here. So we're talking about a country that has got incredible, nuclear medicine advances, the nuclear science they have, whether that's for transport or it's medical or whatever. We're talking about some really high-tech, incredible forward-moving stuff. And yet I'll walk down to the prefecture to get this. I still got paper. They have to, the embossing stamp, the woman had to walk to the cabinet, unlock the cabinet because the stamp is official, so it has to be secure. So now we're into security. Oh. And she unlocks the cabinet.
Did they have an inkwell and some wax with a seal ring?
Look, it was nearly that. It was nearly like that. It was just, and it was a surreal experience because here we are. Like I came from, just being able to just go boom, 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 bang, 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 done, all online, most of it electronic. You might have to do a signature, and that's it, right? Not here. It took me 400 kilometers because I had to keep going back and forth because then when I turned up, there was only one person that did it, and this stamp that they had to use, it was even before then, she'd already checked the paperwork like 4 or 5 times, been through it, then looked up at me again, looked at the photograph, looked at the details, and it was like this the whole time. And then eventually, and she held the stamp over the paper and was about to stamp it and looked at me. It was almost like I'm going, please, stamp it, please. Just going, I need this.
Reach over and slap her hand out. Yeah.
Nice. And it's like, and then she went like, and it's this big bang, and the embossing that sort of thing on it, and I've gone, oh, phew, okay, it's all right. I've got my license now. That's great. And I've never, and I think this is the difference. Like when the guys back at SITS, they have a history. Those guys have a history together, and a lot of them are the creators of what we're working with and evolving now, and they're still involved in the evolving.
Yeah.
So these guys have, and it's the same with the French, they have an innate sense of their history. And Napoleonic law still exists. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Do you think people like that can change? Mark and I talked about this on our recording last week, that when it comes to agile, there are people who can do it and there are just people who cannot. There are people who are going to be able to embrace that change, and there are people who are just not. Yeah. Like I can't imagine that woman being the first person to go, oh, thank you, finally you've given me an iPad that I can slap on the table instead of this thing.
No, the French have a saying here. I'm not kidding. The way it translates, and it's very, very simple. It's why do things simply when you can do it complicated. That's what the general day-to-day life is like. So it's not a negative, and it has a lot of positives too.
Sure.
It actually forces you to slow down and think, and is this something I really want to do? So I think it does have its advantages. It's just different. I don't think it's necessarily bad. It's just different to what we've been used to.
Yeah.
And I think we forget that sometimes.
Yeah, I heard an interesting quote yesterday about complexity and complex systems, and that they don't exist well unless you regularly slam things against them and try to break them. Like hardening, the chaos monkey that Netflix uses. Yeah, that sort of concept, and I think like I imagined that's why the stamp is locked up. Someone threw it against the wall at one point.
It may be because the thing weighed a lot, I can tell you. But it's just...
I mean, out of copper, someone had melted it down.
Yeah. So it really has been surreal the last 18 months, and trying to get things back up and running, like on this side of the world. That was something I talked about with Karen Ferris in one of our conversations, was, this change of career to the other side. It's the same career, but a really big difference. And yay, just passed my DevOps Foundation exam to credit myself as a trainer for DevOps. Yes.
Congratulations.
Nice.
But the point to that is that, especially after all the conferences I went to this year, that we are evolving and we are shifting. you know. And if you don't keep learning, if you don't keep studying and doing this stuff, no matter how many years you've been in the business, you're not viable. And
yeah, but there are still some who are not changing. You know, there are still many people out there who are talking about processes or technology in a way that is not current or valuable.
They're not evolving. They're stopping
not evolving.
Evolution. They're the people that are still talking about categorizing incidents.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey, I still talk about that because I'll tell you
why. You have to. At some point, you have to.
I still do, and I'll tell you why. Because, especially someone that's a decision maker, or I'm helping people understand decision making, if you don't understand how to categorize and understand your information, your decisions are worth bupkis.
And I'm not saying that you saying that is bad, because you saying that is good. That company still needs that. I'm saying that we have evolved past that company. We've evolved past organizations need to hear that. The people that need to hear that still won't be in business for very much longer.
Yeah.
Or they're newbies. I met a lot of newbies at these conferences this year.
Yeah, but you know what it is? I think some of these folks, they don't need to go back to go forward, I think. Like, let's pick on this for just a second. Categorizing an incident. Yeah, many tools do it, right?
Yep. They all do.
There really is absolutely no need to do it if we evolve to the point like, hey, wait a second, don't we really kind of classify our assets when we purchase them?
Yeah, it should be automatic through
So
the CI.
why did that not come through the project that way? Why did that not go through the purchase requisition that way? Why did it not come through the change request that way? Why did it not go into the CMDB that way? And why is it not just...
I really like Agile and DevOps and stuff.
Yeah, right?
To get that flow, you know, to get that communication. And in fact, have you guys actually looked at Abashi?
Yes. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It is good, you know, because it actually was Abashi that kind of got me thinking, and I've been saying this for many years, but what's his name, Fergman, or who's this, I forget his name now, but anyways, when I first got introduced to Abashi, because it's been around for a while, it's been at least 10 years, I think, right, or 9 years, it was probably 2009-ish when I started looking at it.
It hasn't really been picked up, though, and I think one of the reasons why Abashi hasn't really been picked up along with the other frameworks or linked in with it is because Abashi is enterprise-wide.
It's enterprise-wide. It's business speak.
It's business speak and enterprise-wide.
That got me saying to people, stop putting IT services, which aren't even IT services, into a service catalog that you want to try to define. Because email first is not a service; it's a system. The second thing is that it really matters what is that system doing. If it's your quoting services and you're an insurance company and you use email to send your quotes, then you want to have those relationships. But focus on the quoting, focus on the communication, because that's the service you're providing.
There was an interesting incident that came up in a class I had the other way. I was in South Africa, and you know, I'm still on an Australian passport, so you know, doing all the Australian, South African warnings and everything else. And the client was really great, and I went to a client who was really high tech, and it was brilliant. It was a support center manager course, and I absolutely loved it. But I got to the part about IT security, and it says, you know, their role along with incidents and everything else. And I said, well, what's your biggest problem that your team have, you know, around this? Oh, they hate it. They want other people's passwords, the usual stuff. So and so is a way I need to get into their system. And I said, well, what's the answer that your people give? And they said, well, no, you can't do that. And I said, and then I played the customer. I went, hang on, you can't tell me I can't do my job. How dare you tell me no? So you're telling me I can't do my work now? Great, my boss is going to kick my backside and blah 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 blah. And they said, whoa, what are you doing? I said, eliminate the word no. I said, it's not IT security, it's business security. Business made the decision what the security is. The answer is not no. The answer is, yes, you can if you X, Y, Z, fill in the form, talk to your manager, get the authorization. So, like, stop telling your people to say no to your customers. Just follow the business rules and drop the IT at the front of the security.
That was my favorite thing to do, is say yes and then send them to the project submission idea form.
Yeah. And say, this is, and they say, oh, what do I have to fill in this form for? And you're like, because the business decided this is the security that's required around the information to protect you.
Yeah.
If you want to change it, you go to that project form and you say, I'd like to change this thing.
But you know, too, Simone, the problem is, you know, and you've heard this expression from me. I mean, you know, IT not being a department but being a competency, right? If you think about that for a second, it also gets this friction with what some of the things that you just said. So, you know, being from Oz and now a European, you have this term customer, like IT's customer internally, right? Yeah. I don't live by that. Like I still don't, you know, I don't go. Someone said, well, you know, McDonald's, you go to McDonald's for service, they call customers. Like, yeah, because I don't work at McDonald's. I'm not the guy cooking the fries, saying to the person on the cash register, oh, hey, customer. No, it's a person on the other side of the counter that's the customer. And, the fries
and that's where I think that comes back to what you said about these guys at SITS. They see it from that experience level. Who actually has to live with that experience? That is who the true customer is.
And IT is becoming more pervasive in the business. Like, you know, I'm not a big believer in shadow IT being a derogatory term. You know, I posted something about Walmart calling it business IT, right? Yeah. It's just IT is so pervasive now. They're not the customer. I'm not the service provider. We're partners. We're trying to do this together. We're trying to operate within domains of expertise, right? So you're in underwriting, and you're analytical, and you're super technical, and you can do all these amazing things I couldn't do with technology. But I just have to be functionally in the IT department because I understand disaster, risk, recovery, high availability. So my domain of expertise is just different. We can partner together so I can make your stuff.
One of my favorite things is actually when I'm listening to like Ivor McFarlane, and he says, you know, and I came into IT not from an IT perspective like him. I came from a service management background, so running serviced offices, you know, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I really love it when he talks about that. You know, I think we added IT at the front of it because it happened to be technical, you know, managed services from a technical perspective, but it's still just business service management. And I think that's what some people
governance. Get. I gave a presentation today to a sales team, and I broke it down. I said, forget IT. I had let's look at insurance, right? You have quoting, policy, underwriting, claims, payment. Okay, you know, you could do those by giving a quote number, a binding number, a policy number, an account number, a claims number, and a payment reference to that number. And you could have a process that validates that your policy is active and available for the benefits that we're going to pay you for. Or you could do it on sticky notes, emailing underwriters, not validating the claims checks for policy you actually have the benefit and you're the beneficiary of, and just write you money haphazardly. So there's services and activities being provided. One's managed and one's unmanaged.
Which one is actually going to suit all the stakeholders? That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, which is why I love G2G.
There's a whole bunch of stakeholders there. So
you know, the simulation in G2, G3, it's like it works you through. Like, all right, we're just doing a bunch of activities, but we're not managed here. We're not governed. There's no structure or defined relationship for this. And then the people start building these systems on their own, whether it's whiteboards or sticky notes or whatever. And it's great to see that light bulb go off. But you know, we have to though, as industry experts, if I use that term loosely.
Please do. Yeah. Loosely, that is.
Yeah. I'm an expert. No, there are no experts. We have to step the game up, though, and I think it's incumbent upon us to change the thinking process for those who are newbies, for those who are wanting structure and better outcomes.
You know, I one of the things I loved about it is, you know, especially when I'm teaching the courses, is I love building that sense of excitement. And I think for the newbies, that's really important for us to do, is build that sense of excitement around how big this industry actually is, all the different pathways they can take, you know, the potential that's there. And as you said, changing those thinking patterns, just the way they problem solve and you know, stop thinking about the break fix mentality and just saying, do you know what, this is our opportunity to create. And the creation is not just building two boxes, hanging them together and making them talk. It's not that anymore. Yeah,
that's exactly right. It has to be a higher level of systems thinking. And that's why I just think, you know, some folks just can't cut it in service management as a discipline. They will be wrench turners, as I call them. Turn this wrench. You know, you're not going to reevaluate how the water flows or how to conserve. We're just.
However, one of the things that I really focus on in some of these teams is the wrench turners, depending on whether it's a single point of failure or not, which hopefully we eliminate, single points of failure and whatever. But, they all have a valuable role to play, and I never want anyone to feel that their role, even if they're not a decision maker and they are just, transactional in some way, that they still have value. And I think part of the issue that we have is that people don't see their value within the chain. They don't feel the value sometimes. And I think that's actually, I really feel that that's one area where it fails for some organisations.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. And in a lot of cases,
it's a people thing.
Yeah, and in a lot of cases they aren't. I mean, if they aren't valuable, you just have to be honest about it. I mean, really, they should be gone. You see this more and more often as DevOps or what I would call infrastructure automation to support DevOps, to support IT operations. As infrastructure automation continues to expand and be sourced and be more flexible, we need less snowflake builders. And it's going to be difficult to have those conversations when people start to realize that you've been replaced by Docker.
Yeah.
Have they been replaced, or the skill set they've got, can it be reevaluated and applied elsewhere?
And that's the difference. That's the total difference. Is the employee that wants to learn and augment their skill set, stay.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah.
We want to hire 12 of you.
But see, that's why I liked it when I saw some of the stuff coming out of Sphere version 6, because, they've reevaluated some of the skill sets there to make it easier to do that stuff. I mean, who ever heard of being a cybersecurity specialist before? I mean, to me, that was like, when you're in the army or when you're in the coppers or whatever it is, you had cybersecurity is still very new to some people, but it's still around. But now that's why I like Sphere, because at least it's evolving with all this new stuff as well, and it's pulling in these different skill sets and saying it does exist. This is a new pathway you can take. It's giving support to performance management, career, HR. There's so many different ways that I'm loving it. It's just really helping work with teams from that perspective.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, we see it today more than ever. OPM, the Office of Personnel Management. I think that's right.
OPM, Office of Personnel. We just call it HR.
It's a part of our government structure. They're responsible for payroll and a lot of different things for government employees. Announced today their second leak this year. The first leak was 4 million records. This leak was 21 million user records leaked with social security numbers and biometric data.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And in some cases, their families. So, there's rules about this stuff and really high-level thinkers around data security. And some people say, no matter what, the data is always going to get found or public eventually. But really, if you're not paying attention to that security stuff, once it's too late, it's too late. No one's going to trust you ever again.
The horse is bolted.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, it's just becoming more and more important. And, you see stuff like the hacking team news this week.
People just don't understand what information they find valuable. So, like, at the strategic level, the execs go, okay, and here's all the legal stuff. We can't let this out, this out, this out, this out. But it never filters through. They don't have the proper training that goes through to the other human beings that are actually working on it and going, don't threaten them, because that doesn't work. It's not like, oh, you're going to go to jail and there's fines if you let this information out. That just makes them scared, and people do stupid things when they're scared.
Yeah. It's about being clear about practices for managing the data and training. Just make sure that your application development teams know the risks, so that we know that it's $15,000 for every record.
It's not just that they know the risks; they know what the company is willing to accept in terms of the depth of the risk.
Yeah.
Because then that gives them the left and right of arc. Knowing how far they can play with it, how far they can't. And if they get to the point when they go, oh, if you know, if I just make that kick, or if I just push it over that line, just that little bit further, and then it goes crashes. They got to know what the left and right arc is.
Yeah. Creating that innovation is never going to happen if they don't understand acceptable risk. Where are the areas that could really have a boundary you can't turn around? You know, it's kind of like a pharmaceutical company saying, yeah, we want to create some innovation, but you don't mess around with anything that's to touch the FDA, right? Because we don't want our drug pulled off the street. So you've got to tell them, you know, this is that. But you know, again, that's what I think that we have an opportunity in service management to create a platform of agility with better decision making, better understanding, collecting information once and reusing it in the right way. You know, like why would
I just think there's a lot of stuff that in IT. I'm using ITSM as opposed to SM. There's a lot of stuff that ITSM is not yet bringing in. I think they're not getting the integration with the business because they're still putting the IT in front of service management.
Yeah.
And it's probably an old debate, as I know. There's a heap of stuff out in the forums I have over the years about that. But I just think people aren't going back to basic business principles.
It is that, but I think we'll always need IT there because they're principles that apply directly to IT, just like HR service manager will have HR in front of it, and then facility service manager will have the
finance,
you know?
etc.
Yeah. So, you know,
I think there's so much more we can learn that we're not taking advantage of. It's
much
like the marketing thing. You know, when we did the marketing stuff on Service Desk, it sits.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people just don't understand that, you know, when I say marketing, they sort of go, oh, sales, you're going to try and sell me something dodgy or, you know, just because you've got the gift of the gab.
Right.
I said, no. I said the actual service, the actual experience is the marketing as well.
Yeah.
And just the monthly reports, they're not understanding that the monthly reports is the story about who you are.
Barrett, I wonder if in Australia if they sell dodge balls, like this ball is really dodgy.
Yeah, we do.
If that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, we definitely have dodgy. There's a lot of things dodgy.
Simone, it was a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for staying up so late in France.
It's not, you know, the sun hasn't gone down yet. Let's see, what is it? Oh, it's 9:30 at night and it still hasn't gone down.
Oh, man. Oh, that's crazy. Well, that's Hacking Business Technology. Thanks again for joining us, Simone. We'll see you all next week.
Thanks for having the two Matts. Mwah.